Hello and welcome. British star Bob Hoskins was nicknamed the Cockney Cagney, and he was sometimes mistaken for US star Danny DeVito, both diminutive and dynamic performers. In fact, Bob and Danny were several times offered the same parts in films, and Bob replaced Danny as Mario in the Super Mario Brothers film. But despite his East London accent, he wasn't strictly a Cockney, having been born in Suffolk in East Anglia. However, he performed American accents for a number of films, including Who Killed Roger Rabbit, The Cotton Club, and Oliver Stone's Nixon, in which he played FBI agent J. Edgar Hoover. Then, for Enemy at the Gates, he adopted a Russian accent to play President Nikita Khrushchev. But it was his grandmother's Romani gypsy heritage that prompted him to not only step behind the cameras as a director, but also try his hand at scriptwriting. Based on gypsy yarns his grandma used to tell him, Bob came up with a script for the Raggedy Rawney about a young army deserter who ends up joining a gypsy caravan during World War II. Bob not only wrote and directed but also co-starred in the film, which was shot in the Czech Republic using a mix of established actors and gypsies. I caught up with him for a group media chat about the film and his career on the beachfront at the Cannes Film Festival, where he admitted he found acting tough and just what it was like being a first-time director.
Well, when you say acting's hard for you, though, I mean, you do make it look very easy, which of course is the hallmark of somebody who's good at what they're doing, whether you're a tennis player or whatever. So what's hard? What is hard about it?
Making it look easy.
No, yeah, I appreciate that, but I mean, in the technique of it, what is hard? In getting to a character, what's hard?
Getting to the characters, basically. Sometimes, like, okay, people talk about raw emotion and all that. You can't just do that because that'll be flooding all over the place and it don't mean a thing. What, sort of about 4% of what you're doing on that screen or theatre is raw. The rest is all up here. And it's an awful lot of... See, being an actor is like being a continual student.
Yeah, because you're absorbing.
Because all the time you've got to learn about it. Like if you say you're doing a political drama or whatever, you'd have to learn about the politics. You'd have, like you sit with a bunch of actors and start bringing up a subject, you can bet your life it's somebody who's just done a film about it and knows everything about it. You know, so it's like being an eternal student. You have to work all the time to fill yourself up with this stuff.
What have been some of the more, in terms of that context, some of the roles that you've really had to work hard on?
Well, the toughest role is the one I did with Zemeckis, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, just technically. Like, that was acting with cartoons, so I had to act with nobody. And sort of, you know, and then they painted them in afterwards. And that was to actually conjure that up and bring that, to actually see it. Because I had to, because...
They didn't give you anything there, nobody stood there and delivered lines for you? Or...
Yeah, but they can't have you there, because they've got to paint over it.
Yeah.
I've got no, like I'm talking about a little tiny rabbit this high. So you can't sort of, by the end of that I was hallucinating. You know, I was getting out of control.
Like Jimmy Stewart, you were seeing rabbits everywhere. What character do you play in there? What is it?
Eddie Valiant. He's a sort of drunken, wrecked detective. You know, like a sort of Philip Marlowe type character.
And he gets pulled into what? To solve the murder, solve the disappearance.
Yeah, basically.
I guess you two have been through Raggedy Rawney.
Yeah, but now one not all. Now I was just curious, the beard, is it preparation for some kind of a role, or is it just your own?
No, it's... No, what it is if you've got to look like something, like a character for months, and then one morning it's over, and you sort of have your bath, sort of put the shape on your face, and you go, and after a couple of days of going back, it's too much trouble to shave it off.
So how long you had it now?
You had it last year down here.
Did you have a beer last year? No?
Been out a couple of weeks, I suppose. Don't know.
Just a couple of weeks. It's not a bad growth.
Well, you're joking, right? This has been cut back about 4 times.
Oh, has it? Yeah. Right.
So one question about the prayer of dying. You haven't seen it. You don't have intentions to see it now.
Well, I've known Mickey Rourke for sort of years, and I've known. So I always wanted to work with Alan Bates, and I like Mike Hodgins. The script was, but you know,
So that's where you choose for actors, for colleagues more than for a good script.
no, usually it's a good script, but when you
Oh, yeah.
see that something could be, I've taken jobs because they've got good caterers.
Mickey has been pretty vocal about his disappointment with the film.
Well, I don't blame him. He spent a lot of time working up in Belfast. He put a lot of effort in. And like, some of the stuff, he was doing some good stuff. And they've cut him out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, he was talking to us last year here about it. In fact.
I don't believe him about that.
Have you guys gone right through Raggedy Rawney then?
Yes, but if you want to add something.
We can go back to
Eh?
again.
I just wanted to go back to the Bob Weiss connection, and just so I've got the story absolutely straight. How did it all come about? You told Bob the story, didn't you? Or you told him you heard a yarn?
Talking about projects, you know what I mean? So just like people do, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
In the game, thinking of that bit good. And I came out with this Raggedy Rawney, you know, legend, came out. And he said, right, give me a script, you direct it, we're doing it in Czechoslovakia. Ah, oui. And I went, well, you know what he's like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, oh, right, well, fair enough. And that was it, basically.
So what was the legend though, and where did you hear it?
I can't remember not knowing it. Like, it was one of them. It's a very old legend, gypsy legend that comes from. I think it happened during the 100 Years' War in Europe. And it's just something just a tale that I've always known.
And so the essence of the story, the original story that you knew, was what? It was the story of a young boy who...
Young boy goes on the run, meets some gypsies, shakes up with them for a while. They find out he's a deserter, tell him to get on his bike. A couple of weeks later, this mad woman turned up in the tribe, walked into the middle of the camp, and one of the young girls in the camp took her in and looked after her for 20 years, and had 2 kids. Nobody could figure out where these kids had come from, and then eventually the Rawney was killed by the army going through. I think he run over by a horse, and it was realised then that this guy
And only then.
was the soldier,
Right.
and even their kids didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the setting of the story was somewhere in Europe. I mean, it couldn't really have been anywhere.
Yeah, well, I really didn't want any historical thing to it, because I didn't want anything identified as an enemy, any race identified as an enemy. You know, people ain't the enemy, it's war, it's the enemy. You know.
But you use the, well, I suppose what's sort of identified as the Cockney accent throughout.
Well, I didn't care about accents.
No, but you could have had a choice, I suppose. You could have had either, you know, some kind of European accent, or you might have had American actors in it, so there would have been an American accent.
Well, if that had been an American accent, it would have been an American accent. That's what I wanted, because I didn't want accents. I didn't want any characterisations that people could hide behind. You know what I mean? I wanted those people.
Yeah.
You know, and they're all very close to me, so I had a pretty good idea what I was going to do. Yeah. Not as good, and not that they were going to do it so well, but you know.
The actors are all friends of yours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All these brothers.
Yeah, they're all very old friends. I've known Dexter Fletcher.
Dexter Fletcher, yeah.
I've known him since he was 11. And his 2 brothers, Steve and Graham, are in it as well. I nearly got his mum and dad in it, but they had to work.
What about the young boy? He's not.
Dexter Fletcher.
Timmy. And he's Simon.
Simon.
The Down syndrome.
Down syndrome. Yeah.
I met him through a mate of mine who runs this sort of drama group for mentally handicapped people, and I met Tim, and he was right. You know, I said to him right in the beginning, now listen, you're going to earn dough for this, so I'm going to treat you like a professional, and you're going to earn your money. And he was terrific, like boss. He was going to, and he'd come in and he'd earn his money, and he wanted to earn his money.
So how much was he understanding of what the role was, what the character was, the
He
story was?
understood everything.
Yeah.
Couldn't read the script, but his mum was with him, and she'd been through the whole story.
And she'd tell.
Yeah. And he knew. The only thing with Timmy was he loves wrestlers. You know, wrestling. He thought I looked like Mick McManus. So before we could start work in the morning, I'd have a wrestle with him. You know what I mean? But that was it. Get that going up, right?
He was,
Give me a four-arm smash and chuck me over his shoulder, and then I'll do anything you like now.
There's some wonderful moments, just the looks on his face in the thing. Were they difficult to get? I mean, was it multiple takes or just?
No, he's a showman. As I say, he was a professional actor. He came in and said, right, you want some of this or you want some of that? And he'd give you that. Or he'd say, oh, I can do it better than this. Hold up a minute. Start going again. Bang, and he'd do it again. It was wonderful, was it?
Yeah. I understand you shot another ending.
Yeah.
See? What happened?
Well, at the end, what I was going to do was have an ending where actually the war was over. The war ended. And all these people sort of going back home. Sort of this terrible suffering of shock. You know what I mean? Like you've just been through an accident. Anyway, we had 800 people lined up. I couldn't have anything to do with this because I was still pretty limited for time, so I'm still filming while they're setting it up, you know, in the camp. And I said, right, action, go. And there was these 800 people came towards me, all dressed in their Sunday best, smiling, looking very healthy, you know what I mean, with plastic bags, picking mushrooms. We've got to pull something out of the bag, you know what I mean? And so we changed the ending. That became the hard ending that you got now.
No, right, mate. Okay. The ending that you do live with is, or that you do go with.
Well, it's a better ending than we had.
But you could have, I don't know, you could have taken it maybe a little bit further. Did you consider that?
No, I didn't want to.
So we're left to assume that the guys who stayed to fight died.
I certainly didn't want the indignity of seeing them die. Because bloodshed and getting them blown up and all that shit is not what I'm making films about. You know what I mean?
The sequence where they have the wedding, the gypsy wedding and everything.
Yeah.
Presumably with a lot of Czech actors. And, but any Czech gypsies at all? Were there any?
The kids. Some of the kids
were.
Yeah, the kids were abandoned gypsy kids. They're all from an orphanage.
So what was there? How much authenticity was there in the dancing and the?
There's no authenticity. We're not. So this is not a study about fucking gypsies.
No. I know, but I just thought because.
No, there's no like. I wanted something primitive, and I wanted virile and lusty. And Roy Jones, who's another old friend of mine, I told him what, I wanted. He said, right, Bosh, okay, I'll do it, and I left him alone. I said, but you film it. You work it out shot for shot how you want to see it. That's what he did.
Yeah. I liked it very much. I thought it worked well. The reason I asked the question was only because I've been in Czechoslovakia and Hungary, and when you go out into the back roads, and there are your real gypsies there, and the old.
I didn't want that.
No.
I just didn't want that. That romantic number. I didn't want to know.
So having done it once and done it successfully, are you itching to get back and direct again? No.
If I took up directing for a living, I'd only last about 5 years.
That will be your own films to direct?
That's it.
Really?
Yeah.
You're that absolute about it?
Well, I don't know.
Why?
Well, it's whether all that would happen again, I don't know, because it happens. I can't turn around and say I went in with this vision
Yeah.
and I saw, and this is. The film's a much better film than I thought of. It's a much better film than everybody else thought of. And everybody was, it's got bits in it that everybody put into it.
Sure.
That everybody took responsibility for it. I don't know, it's a kind of magic thing, and to be able to get that together again would be impossible.
I guess, yeah. If something came along, though, obviously, that moves you sufficiently to want to tell a story, surely you'd...
If there was a need for me to do it,
Yeah.
or if I felt, oh yeah, I could do something with that.
You write for the stage? Read it somewhere?
Yeah, I've read a couple of
So, you like telling stories and writing?
places. I'm here talking, and I'm telling a story, a few lies, but not too many.
Well, what was the hardest thing then, directing? Was there elements of it that you like, maybe telling the actors what to do because you're an actor yourself and you know...
No, we was all directing each other. So, no, actually, directing actors is great. The worst part of directing is answering all the questions. That's like being picked to death by 1,000 pigeons. It's all just... They follow you into the loo, you know what I mean? Trying to read the Daily Mirror and they're giving you that. Oh, what do you want to do? What pair of shoes you want me to... I don't give a fuck with a pair of shoes that fit you.
All the publicity afterwards, talking with journalists. Did you do that as well if you have just been in this film as an actor? Or is it because you're more...
Yeah, I'd come out. You got to flog it, you can't. You want a thing to sell. I think all this...
But you don't like it?
Hey?
You don't like it?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we're at...
Why?
Okay, it's all right.
So why do you say...
There are worse places to be.
Why do you say it's so difficult?
Answering all the questions.
Yeah, you felt...
No, I'm talking about this. I'm talking about on a film set.
No, but the other day you said that the most difficult thing was answering questions.
Yeah.
You meant?
On the film set.
Oh.
Now, the point is people have got to do...
When people ask you
People
what
have got to do their job, they've got to have a decision from me.
okay.
And you've got so many different departments. And also I made it very clear in the beginning, if anybody had any ideas, let's have them. You know what I mean? Let's try them out. So people were sort of thinking more. So I was getting 10 times more questions than most directors get. Like, fuck's sake, leave us alone. But that was, that's the whole. The rest is wonderful. To have like the opening scene, to have a firework display all for yourself, you know what I mean, blowing up things in the air, great, I'll have some of that any day.
Catering, good.
The catering was brilliant. My caterers. I insisted on the best food in Czechoslovakia was going to be on my set. And it was.
What are you up to next? You going on to do another film?
Selling this. It's all
Just selling this, eh?
I've got a pile of scripts out about this eye.
Yeah, I bet.
And I'm sort of, my agent keeps saying, you've got to read them, because people are asking me questions. I said, I'll keep walking in there with a determined look on my face, but in 3 minutes I'll give it a kick and run out.
Are you happy with Judith Hearn?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so fun.
I haven't seen it yet. I think they've had 1 or 2 screenings here, but yeah, because the characters that you're an Irishman who comes back, is that it? Or
An Irishman who's lived in New York for 30 years. Yeah.
That's right. He comes back and
He comes back to Dublin. To his family. His sister.
and there are things assumed about him, or you allow things to be assumed about you. Is that right? Is that how it worked?
What, you want the plot?
No,
Can't see the film.
No, just in your own words. No, it's
Just a story about a bird who's just piano teacher, a failure in her life, and a guy who's a failure in his life. He assumes that she's got money and she assumes that he loves her.
that's it. Yeah. Good stuff. That's great. Thanks for that, mate.
Bob went on to have a magnificent career, appearing in more than 120 films and TV series. His final film role was in Snow White and the Huntsman, opposite Chris Hemsworth, Kristen Stewart and Charlize Theron in 2012. He died in London in 2014 at the age of just 72.